But joining us now, Republican Congressman Jason Chaffetz of Utah. He's the chairman of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Wolf.
You went on Twitter the night of October 26th and said you were changing your vote back to Trump. But this is what you said on October 7th. I'll play the clip for you.
I'm out. I can no longer endorse Donald Trump for president. There's no possible way I vote for Hillary Clinton. But these are abhorrent. They are wrong. To use a baseball metaphor, I got to call balls and strikes the way I see them. And you know, my wife, Julie, and I, we got a 15-year-old daughter. You think I can look her in the eye and tell her that I endorse Donald Trump for president when he acts like this? And his apology, that was no apology. That was an apology for getting caught. To say that Bill Clinton did it and did it worse, I mean, that should have been his first clue that it was the wrong behavior. So I'm not going to put my good name and reputation and my family behind Donald Trump for president when he acts like this. I just can't do it.
Strong words, Congressman. Can you see why some people are now calling you a hypocrite?
Well, everybody, I think, is struggling with their own decision. But as I also said in there, I will never, ever vote for Hillary Clinton. I struggled with this. I'm not going to endorse Donald Trump. I'm not going to do that. I can't defend the comments that he made. But elections are tough decisions where, in this point, you have two people that are one of the two, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, can become the next president of the United States. And last week, my wife and I both voted for Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. I think Hillary Clinton is that bad. She is so bad and so wrong for the United States of America. I think her ability to look in the camera and just lie scares me more than anything. And so it's a tough decision. I think I reflect what a lot of Utahns and a lot of Americans are struggling with. But at the end of the day, I really like the idea of Donald Trump. But those actions and those words, we should never find them acceptable, never.
But after that initial Access Hollywood video came out, more than a dozen women have publicly come out and accused Donald Trump of doing exactly the kind of behavior that he described in that videotape. What has changed between then and now when you said you couldn't look your wife and your daughter in the eye and support Donald Trump?
I don't know if which ones of those are true or may not be true, but you have to put it in the context of Hillary Clinton. And in the context of Hillary Clinton, who will lie to America. She lied about Benghazi. She told the truth to her daughter and the Prime Minister of Egypt, but lied to Americans. She has not been truthful about their email scandal. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so it's the true definition of a dilemma where you got two difficult choices. But I really like what Mike Pence said. I think Republicans are coming home. I think independents are starting to understand that we have a choice. We can continue with the status quo and somebody who ingratiates themselves, enriches themselves. The Clintons back up that gravy train and just fill it cash full of money. I mean, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, yet they've been in public service. So
I just want to clarify. I just want to clarify this because in that original statement that you made on October 7th to CNN's Don Lemon, you said there's no possible way I vote for Hillary Clinton. You said that then. You continue to say that now. But why have you changed your mind as far as who you're publicly talking about supporting right now? Because now you tweeted later, I will not defend or endorse real Donald Trump, but I am voting for him. HRC is that bad. HRC is bad for the USA. But you still haven't explained why you changed your mind from that original statement October 7th when you said you couldn't look your daughter and your wife in the eye and say you were going to support Donald Trump after that Access Hollywood video came out.
I guess I do see a difference between an endorsement and publicly defending somebody and my actual
What is the
vote.
difference? If you tell your supporters in Utah, I'm voting for Donald Trump, that sounds to me like an endorsement.
Well, I think they're different. I think the endorsement is far different than who you actually vote for. And it's the one vote I actually do for myself. I don't represent anybody else. We all get the same vote. But in the context of either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump. And I think Mike Pence has articulated that, and I think we're seeing that across the country. I do think they're different.
Because a lot of folks in Utah, based on all the polls, are going to vote for Evan McMullin, a third-party candidate. Did you think about doing that?
No, I don't think that's a fast track to nowhere. The reality is there's only two people that might become the president, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. That's the vote that's facing us, and that's why I'm voting for Donald Trump.
I know you say Hillary Clinton is crooked, and you're obviously very condemnatory of her. But what information came to light on that night of that tweet that made you change your mind?
I think I'd been contemplating this for some time. There wasn't some magical moment that happened, but you know, I've tried to champion openness and transparency. I thought maybe I could go through this without having to talk about who I was actually going to vote for. But people wanted to know, and I'm in a public spot, so I said, all right, I'll tell you who I'm going to vote for, and I'm going to vote for Donald Trump.
I just want to be precise. The new information, this new review the FBI is undertaking as far as emails that were found on Anthony Weiner's laptop, that had not been revealed publicly when you changed your mind about your vote. You did not have any inside information about that. Is that right?
No, I did not. Look, I know a lot about the Clintons and what they've done in their past. That was far more than enough for me to understand a long time ago that this person, Hillary Clinton, should never, ever be trusted in the White House. Her propensity and frequency in which she lies to the American people is that's by far more scarier than anything else I've seen out there. And so, no, I didn't have any insider information of that. But Bob Goodlatte and I, the chairman of Judiciary, just in the last hour have put out a preservation letter to the Department of Justice saying, please, with this new investigation, with supposedly, I mean, I'm reading about it in the media like you are, going into Anthony Weiner and his proximity to Hillary Clinton and this whole mess that's out there, make sure that they preserve all those documents because Congress is going to want to take a look at it.
I'm sure you will. Last night, Hillary Clinton emphasized why she thinks a Donald Trump presidency would be so harmful to young girls. Listen to this.
And please, just think about what happens if he were to win to women and girls. It would mean that our girls would grow up with a president who proudly and loudly ranks women by their looks, including the only woman running in the Republican primary. Remember what he said about Carly Fiorina, a distinguished woman with a tremendous record of accomplishment. And basically, Trump said, nobody will vote for her. Look at her face. He brags about doing things to women without their consent. Just imagine what that would mean to girls and women, what it could mean to the sense of self-worth that we want our young women to have. And imagine how it will affect our boys to have a president who talks and behaves like that.
All right, after that video came out, you seemed to agree totally with Hillary Clinton on that when you revoked your initial endorsement of Trump. So why are you now comfortable with him potentially being in the Oval Office?
Well, Wolf, you act as if the Clintons have a clean slate on this. Are you kidding me? The way Bill Clinton treated an intern in his office.
But he's not running for president. It's Hillary Clinton who's running for president.
The Clintons have no clean slate on this. Don't kid anybody in this, in that regard. I will never support, condone, defend anybody's actions, whether they're words or actual actions, to defame or to demoralize or take advantage of women in any way, shape, or form. I want my daughters to understand that. I want America to understand that. And I'm proud of the fact that as a Republican, I called out a Republican. And it's time for the Democrats to actually call out a Democrat. Because this is not a party issue. This should be totally unacceptable. But at the end of the day, you still got to make a choice. You still have to make a choice, Wolf.
The criticism you're getting is you condemn what Donald Trump said in that video. You condemn his behavior. You obviously condemn the Clintons for that matter. But you're still going to vote for Donald Trump. And a lot of people are wondering, how can you do that?
Absolutely.
Especially when you have Mitt Romney, for example, says he can't vote for Donald Trump. And I know he's a very close friend of yours.
Yeah. Well, he has his own vote. I'm just trying to tell Americans and my constituents in Utah how I'm going to vote. A public poll came out. I had the highest percentage. I was winning by 54 points in my district. I think I'm representing my district well, and I think they understand. I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to condone it. I'm not going to endorse it. But I don't want Hillary Clinton to be the president of the United States. She would be far worse long-term in all the major decisions, from the Supreme Court to jobs to foreign policy to integrity. I think Hillary Clinton is the worst possible person to become the president. And so I'm trying to say, I hate that he said that. I hate that he thought that. But at the same time, I've got this dilemma. It's a tough choice. But at the end of the day, I think what Mike Pence is right. Americans are coming home. They're coming home to the idea that we got to change Washington, D.C. I love the idea of Donald Trump. I love that idea that somebody from the outside is going to come in and look at this and change the way we do business in Washington, D.C. So, I mean, hey, if my endorsement mattered, Mitt Romney would be the president of the United States. If my endorsement really mattered, Marco Rubio would have been our nominee. But I'm going to vote for our nominee. In fact, I did last week, and that is Donald Trump.
I want to move on, but very quickly, what I hear you saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, the 12 women or so who have come forward and publicly said that Donald Trump did to them what he bragged about doing in that video, you don't believe those women, is that right?
I don't know if they're telling the truth or not telling the truth. You hear the same thing about the Clintons and what Bill Clinton has done. I mean, they're just lining up on that side of the aisle as well. So assume that it's true, and I hope that it's not. I hope that it's not. You're still faced with this dilemma about who should sit in that Oval Office. And I don't trust, and I think the majority of Americans, they don't trust Hillary Clinton. I think she's crooked. I think she's a liar. I think her and her team do everything they can to block the truth and enrich themselves. That's how I see Hillary Clinton, and that's why I would never vote for her for president of the United States.
You told the Washington Post, and I'm quoting now, even before we get to day one, we've got 2 years worth of material already lined up to investigate Hillary Clinton. Are you saying that if she's elected, you're already planning to go after her as president-elect or president of the United States, maybe even for partisan purposes?
No, not for partisan purposes, Wolf. Whether or not Hillary Clinton wins or loses, it doesn't matter. For 4 years, she created one of the biggest messes in the State Department. I think it's one of the biggest breaches of security in the history of the State Department. We still don't have all the documents. You still have people, career people at the State Department saying they were operating a quote-unquote shadow government. You read the FBI report and you see that there was supposedly quid pro quo discussions, all things that we need to have on oversight. They haven't fulfilled the Freedom of Information Act requests, which I have jurisdiction on in the Oversight Committee. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So we have federal records that have been evidently destroyed. I mean, that's what the FBI concluded. And we have the migration of classified information into a non-classified setting. I would be a derelict in my duty if I didn't follow up on that and provide the constitutional responsibility that I have.
But I know you know this as well as anybody knows this. The FBI director cleared her of any criminal wrongdoing. He said she was extremely careless, but he said there was no evidence, not enough evidence certainly, to recommend criminal charges. That's what he said in early July. I know you didn't accept that recommendation, but that was the recommendation of the FBI director going forward. But what I hear you saying in this interview with the Washington Post is you're going to spend, if she's elected president, the next 2 years having hearings, investigations on Hillary Clinton. Is that what you're saying?
We have to fix the mess that she created at the State Department. And let's understand that last week the FBI changed that equation. So let me give you an example. The FBI had been giving us the 302s, the so-called investigative summaries of the interviews that they've been doing. But now they won't let us have them because the FBI is telling us this is now a pending matter. Even though they told us in July that it was closed, that they had completed their investigation. Now they're telling us it's an ongoing investigation. So the fact that they reopened the investigation, and that's just about the email situation. You have this whole nother track over here about what was going on in the foundation. And so I didn't create this mess. It was the Inspector General that gave the criminal referral to the FBI. And we have a constitutional duty and responsibility as the tip of the spear on the checks and balances to oversee what is happening in these departments and agencies. Hillary Clinton created this mess. I'm just here to help try to clean it up.
If she's not elected president, are you still going to plan on having 2 years of hearings on her?
Absolutely. Look, I'm guessing how long this is going to take. Look at what we did with the Secret Service. I think Elijah Cummings and I came together in a very bipartisan way. We saw a mess that was happening in the Secret Service. That investigation and that cleanup still continues to this day. I'm going to take that same philosophy and approach, and I would hope that the Democrats would take off their partisan hat and understand you can't have classified information migrating to a non-classified setting. You can't take literally hundreds of thousands of federal records and put them in a different bucket and say, we're going to treat these differently. You can't go hire your own personal attorney to determine what's a federal record and what it's not when you're bypassing those that are career employees. And then when you have allegations of a quid pro quo, am I supposed to just ignore that and let it go? No, I'm going to get to the truth of it and fix it so it never happens again.
Well, let me just press you on one point, Congressman. Do you have hard evidence that there was, in fact, classified information from Hillary Clinton's private email server that was found on Anthony Weiner's computer?
No, but we did send a preservation letter because there are numerous now media reports, and if that is the case, if it is there, then we want to make sure that the Department of Justice preserves that information because Congress is also at some point going to want to review it. So no, the only thing I know about the Anthony Weiner situation is what we've seen in the media, not something else that they have given us in any way, shape, or form.
Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania has written to the Department of Justice after some white nationalist groups pledged to, quote, monitor the polls on Election Day. This is something that Trump himself has encouraged. As you know, he told people to watch the polls, and he specifically singled out cities with high African-American populations, such as Philadelphia, Chicago, St. Louis, as places where he thinks the election, in his words, could be stolen from him. So why is Donald Trump pushing a narrative that's encouraging voter intimidation by these sort of these so-called white nationalists? Some would call them racist groups.
Oh, I hope that's not the case. I don't know many details of that. You know, Chicago has quite the reputation of voter fraud along the way, right or wrong. They have that reputation. Look, I think it's important that coast to coast we are vigilant, but I believe in the integrity of the system, and when there is a declared winner, we'll get behind and support that. The peaceful transition of power in this nation is something that's unique in the world, and I stand behind it.
Congressman Jason Chaffetz, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Wolf.
We're counting down to Election Day in America. We're going to have all-day coverage of all the key races. Stay with CNN until the last vote is cast and counted. Up next, lawmakers are demanding answers from the FBI in the revived investigation into Clinton aides' emails.